All right, welcome to Cultural Entropy. I am your host, Walter. This is kind of a proof of concept. Me screwing around. I've had this channel for a while, haven't used it. Don't really know what I want to do with it, but I just finished 2013 Stephen King's Doctor Sleep, and I figured I'd just do kind of an impromptu review of it. So anyway, I really didn't like this book. It was gifted to me way back when it came out. I got it in hardcover on clearance. I started reading it, didn't like it. I came across it when I was cleaning out some stuff, and I figured, hey, I'll do it now. Let's get it out of the way because I'll never get around to it. I haven't been a big Stephen King fan since he finished The Dark Tower. This is the first book I finished since Wind Through the Keyhole, which I was a little disappointed why, not in a bad way. Just it didn't give me the same feeling I had with the Dark Tower series. So anyway, this one, I didn't like. It's the same problem, or some of the same problem that King normally has, his inability to land the third act. That's why I kind of stopped listening to him. This is a sequel to the book and not the movie. So anybody out there that cares, the movie is better because Kubrick lands the third act, and the book kind of goes off the rails in the third act. So anyway, the big problems with this are from a structural standpoint. So this isn't me going like I dislike it because of subjectivity. This is me saying like there are problems with the story, and this is what happens when you have an author like Stephen King that is a brand that no one tells him that his shit doesn't stink because it's pretty bad at this point. So what happens is the protagonist, the guy that we're supposed to be rallying behind and caring about, is Danny from the first book. He's all grown up now, and he's just underdeveloped as a character. There's no conflict with him. He is an alcoholic, but he's kind of kicked it before the first act starts up. First act doesn't actually get into it. It's a 500-page book, and first act doesn't actually kind of end until like page 200, which is too deep to be getting into to have those problems. So anyway, Dan kicks his alcoholism problem, and then he's contacted by a girl named Abra. So if you don't like spoilers, like hey, I don't like you either, you can go away. But anyway, Abra, she has some major problems in and of herself, but Dan doesn't have any conflict. He's already kicked his alcoholism. He doesn't really that's never something that comes back into the tale. He just gets to protect Abra. Abra as a character is the girl who's the key to everything. She's like the most powerful psychic in the world at this point, and she is able to defeat the quote unquote villains of the story. Now, so your problem is you have Dan, who is the protagonist, who's supposed to be the protagonist. He has no conflict, so he's just kind of boring. And Abra, who is characters are supposed to be simulations of real people. So when they're just perfect, as an audience, we tend to reject them. So with Abra, there's no struggle. She's not ever she beats the main bad guy every time she goes up against her, and there's just not a lot to be investing in the story. She's kind of unrealistic because she's kind of perfect, even as a teenager goes. The interesting part about her doesn't happen until like the epilogue. So anyway, the actual, for lack of a way to put it, the actual protagonist of the story is the villain, Rose the Hat, because we get to understand Rose the Hat as a character and the True Knot, which are all her psychic vampires. And again, a major problem with your story is when you make a villain sympathetic and the audience is more invested in their story, even though they are child murdering torturers, you have a problem with your story as a whole. So your villain, who is supposed to be your antagonist, becomes your villain protagonist, and then your antagonist or your protagonist we're not invested in, so we're actively rooting against the protagonist because we have more investment in the antagonist, if that makes any sense to anybody out there. So structurally it's all over the place, and by the end I'm just trying to get it done because I'm just bored. There's no real stakes in it in the end because there's no tension. I don't think the bad guys are going to lose, and they don't. And then there's the other thing that the parents are just really weird. I just really didn't like the parents of Abra either, because they're just like, oh yeah, like we'll just let you do things. We'll be upset about it, but like our daughter doesn't need our protection, because the parents that I know will drop everything and run to their kids, and their parents are like, oh no, she could stay there for a little while. So anyway, and then the last thing that really started bothering me, this was 2013. So if you're into the culture war type of stuff, the author's little tinges of inserting his own ideology kind of starts to become a problem. I'm sure it's probably worse at this point. Everybody's a little bit guilty of it, but when it starts to become distracting, it becomes a problem. One of the times in there, one of the characters throws out the name Wilma Rudolph. I didn't remember who this was. She was an Olympian in 1960. She's black, and I had to go look it up. So character throws that out there. I have no reference to it. as a reader, I have to stop my book, put it down, go, who is this character or person that you just referenced? Did I miss something in the story for setup and payoff? No, I didn't. You just wanted to, throw, a random token black name out there because you're super woke on Twitter. So anyway, did not like Dr. Sleep, from a brand standpoint, probably because no editor, no, proofreader said, hey, you need to fix these structural problems. King didn't do it. He's been able to skate by not landing his third acts, and it comes home at this point. I don't know how many other King books I would ever read again. I mean, like I said, this is a problem that's been going for a while, and at this point, I think he's just lazy and sloppy. So anyway, this is kind of just the idea for this channel. I don't know where I'm going to go with it. I've just kind of been getting back into reading and looking at some other pop culture type stuff. I don't know what I'm going to do. I have another channel that does politics stuff, so I don't want to really put that in here. So probably as I watch stuff and read stuff, I'll just pop stuff out here, see where the channel goes, see if anybody is interested in anything I have to say. So anyway, yeah,